R. Kelly. This is a this is a topic that we are covering respectfully, and I'm going to be very sensitive with whatever my take and my reaction is going to be. But wow, R. Kelly's child victim from infamous tape. They put a name there. Okay, Rashona. Well, obviously she's publicly coming out, so speaks out publicly in first TV interview. I wonder if somebody paid her for that. I mean, I hate to think about the business, but this is a big exclusive. It's a media content driven world. People will pay her a big bag for her first interview, a book, all types of stuff. It's just wild, man.
It was a couple of weeks before your 17th birthday. You say, Robert told me the copies of one of the sex tapes of 14-year-old me were beginning to be sold on the streets of Chicago and across the country. Your reaction to that when you think about hearing those words from R. Kelly, that this tape is out there and you were 14 years old?
I was empty. I was very hollow inside. I was very confused. Didn't know what to expect. And I was embarrassed.
Why not tell the truth in 2002 or 2008 when there was finally a trial after 6 years?
That's one of my biggest regrets, not telling the truth. But again, when I have been trained and groomed since I was age 13, I started believing the lies that I was telling. It was very foggy and unclear on what I really felt versus what was right or what was wrong. And even in moments where I despised Robert, I still lied for him.
When I look back at that trial, this idea that people who were not part of the jury were able to see some of that video.
Mm-hmm.
And the jokes that came from the video, because we're talking about seeing a person at the time, not knowing who it is,
Mm-hmm.
for sure, being urinated on and talked about. And it's almost like, oh my gosh, do you look at even the justice system as not protecting you to some extent? I mean, thinking about that video being played before a gallery of everyday citizens.
I definitely think things could have been handled differently. I'm happy I wasn't there to witness everyone watching that. To the world imagery, I was not made to be a victim. I was a mockery. And that was very difficult to digest. It was very disheartening to know that my body was just being displayed and tossed around. And, when I look back on it, I wish things could have been done differently, but those are all of the things that I had to internalize.
Say it was a couple of weeks before your 17th birthday. You say, Robert told me.
There's some interesting things that we just heard, people. I was starting to write down a couple little bullet points in the background because I was like, I had like 10 thoughts that while I was just listening. One, the whole thing about the tape and playing in trial and did the justice system protect her? I don't want to act like I remember all the details around the trial or nothing like that, but part of me feels like that tape didn't go out into the whole world because it was played at trial, right? There was a lot of stuff played at Diddy's trial. Do we expect to see it? No, they played a lot of exclusives on the monitors and whatnot at Diddy's trial, and audio and emails that they put up, and we just had to hear about it through word of mouth from the press coming out of the courtroom. This video, I thought, was because allegedly the Aunt Sparkle put it out. And I hate to keep saying it like this. It might sound nasty and but it's true. I'm a New Yorker, y'all. Like, this was Canal Street days. I was working in Midtown Manhattan. So you come out your job for your lunch break, whether you walk up the street, motherfuckers has got they mixtapes, they movies, they VHS, they DVDs, fake sneakers, fake purses, fake shirt, whatever. Like, there was stores on the sidewalks everywhere you went. You know what I'm saying? And in the storefronts. And that's where the legendary Canal Street comes in. But you don't even need to get to Canal Street. Like, I could be right there like, oh, you got the new DJ Clue? You got that new Drama Kings Case Slay for me? What you got? What you got? Let me see what you got. You got that new Cocaine City DVD? Whatever. And right there next to it, on every corner, every block, every hustler's fucking blanket laying on the street is the R. Kelly tape. It was everywhere. I don't know if that came out from the court. And if it did, if that ended up on every street corner in every neighborhood around the definitely around the country because of it came out of court, wouldn't she have a huge lawsuit? A huge lawsuit. Now, as far as protecting her, some would say that's the reason why Sparkle gave it to the police or gave it to the courts. Other people would say she was sour. She was doing some get back on R. Kelly. You know, you was around him and record deal stuff happens or whatever. I don't want to go there. Shout out Sparkle. I don't want to allegedly. But speaking of opportunity, right? Does that also come into play when we start talking about when she says back then I shouldn't have lied for him? Like, they didn't ask her, why didn't you speak out? They asked her, why didn't she tell the truth? So it's not just the lying as it relates to, did this man do something to you? Or I don't know who he is. Nothing ever happened. That's not me in the tape. Whatever her testimony was. Did she testify? I don't even remember that she went to court. I forget. But the alleged lie that I remember not just involved her family, her parents. Allegedly, she was paid off and her and the family left the country with a bag so that they couldn't even be picked up or served to testify. You know, R. Kelly's this big bag and this big celebrity. You know, I got all this stuff going on. Here's a couple $1 million. You go over to Brazil, hang out there for the next 3 years. When this is all done, whatever, I'm gonna keep sending y'all money if you need. Allegedly, who knows, right? But that was what was always said. That's what was always said. Shout out to the chat. Somebody put she's on a book tour press run right now. You know, I can't be mad at her coming out and I guess finding a way to flip it. Here's the only difference. She can't claim that I'm not standing in her shoes. I'm going to assume that it doesn't really align trying to act like my whole life and nah, I shouldn't say life. Damn, let me be careful. My whole image is dead because of R. Kelly. So I might as well go this route, come out, do a book and all that. Why? Because if you guys are like me, you guys never knew what this woman looked like. You never knew who she was. You never knew her name. And then on top of that, she was a child then, allegedly, and she's a grown woman now. She walks past you on the street. Somebody could date her and not know that her history is, imagine she's sitting on the couch with somebody one day. Somebody she dating. Hey, you know R. Kelly? Hell yeah, that's the king of R&B. Bitch ass nigga. He's in jail right now serving all that time for some shit he did to some little girl. I'm that girl. What? You know what I'm saying? Nobody would know who she is. Nobody. But we know now. So you got to take the good with the bad when you put yourself in that position, mama. Respectfully though, you know, I hope that you are either partially healed, halfway healed, fully healed. Because if it was my daughter, boy, y'all are like me, right? Everybody believes that he really did it, is not wrongfully convicted or nothing, right?